Welcome to the 6th of 6 videos from the Roman Army 2021 UofW lecture on life outside, beyond war, etc. And in this final one, I'm going to say a little bit about who the women were that we find in these environments. Okay, and to do this, I'm going to bring in a wide array of different evidence. Okay, so to try and give a broad overview. Okay, so mothers obviously are some groups associated with this. So we know that some partnerships developed in and around military spaces and bases. Some of these marriages or de facto marriages, they'd have children, and families, generations might stay in a place for a while, and so mothers would be present as well. I know most have been using CE and whatever. Slip through when I was making this, just for my own sanity. All right, so here are two inscriptions that point towards mothers, military environments. So, to the spirits of the departed, in honor of Titus Avidius Romanus, soldier of the 7th cohort of Achilles, pump operator, century of Litorius, Avidia Romana, his mother, to her very dutiful sons. There's an inscription by a mother to a son. Here's another one. I therefore ask you, mother, here's a letter, that you write to me about yourself. What did you do in Memphis in Egypt? Do not fail. You should know that Gemellus has joined the fleet. He said to me, your mother is going to court with your father in Memphis before the chief justice. Please, mother, as soon as you receive this letter, send Germanus to me, because the word is that our cohort is leaving for Mauritania. So if Egypt is on one side of North Africa, Mauritania is way over on the other side. It's far. Up to the moment, the Allah of Moors and the cohort of Africans have left. That cohort has been brought up to full strength, but men from our cohort, men from 3 years of enrollment are leaving, etc. So there is a letter, a soldier to his mother, saying, right now, before it's too late. As in, who knows when you'll hear from me again. So mothers are one category, obviously. Here's another example. Another AD. Whatever. A letter. Okay, we know we don't have a lot, but we do have some that also convey. We had an epitaph there. Obviously, some mourning implied in the one, and then a letter. A soldier, trying to reach his mother before it's too late, before he goes off. We get sometimes sometimes we get hints of what mothers felt was too, and even sisters, etc. So Isis to Thermution, her mother, many greetings, and make obeisance for you each day before the Lord Serapis and the associated gods. I want you to know that I have arrived well and safely in Alexandria in 4 days. I greet my sister and the children, Eloath and his wife, and Dioscorus and her husband and children, and Tamalis and her husband and her son, and Heron, and Ammonarion and her children and her husband, and Sanpat and her children. So she's like, hello to everybody. Hello to all the people. And if Ion wants to join the army, let him go. For everyone is joining the army. I pray for your health with all your household. So their letter implies there's some concern, discussion in the family about a son joining the military, possibly, and whether that's a good idea. Okay, I'm looking at this. Wait me. Okay, here's another one. It's everywhere. Okay, but we also get sisters too. That previous one might have hinted at this as well. I'm losing my mind. Sorry, viewers, or viewer probably. Okay, so sisters as well. Okay, here's one. Another letter. Again, a lot of these are from Egypt because that's where we have papyri, which are well preserved. Apollonius to Terentianus, her brother. Greetings and continual good health. I want you to know that since I wrote to you before about my affairs now, the full amount of the rent and the seed will surely be available. And do not worry about the children. They are in good health, and they are kept busy with the teacher. And about your fields, I have reduced your brother's rent to the extent of 2 artabai. Now I receive from him 8 artabai, etc. Do not worry about us, and take care of yourself. I understood, etc. Questions about children. Now, because of the nature of social relations in Egypt, it's possible this is less a sister and more a wife, but won't get into that. Sisters were a thing, obviously. We also have obviously lots of evidence of wives. So here's something from the 4th century of a a wife to her husband. Artemis to Theodorus, my lord husband. Greetings in God. The Christian empire by then. Okay, so things have changed. Before everything, I pray the Lord God that we find you in all good health. I sent you through Appion, your fellow soldier, letters and a cloak. I pray for your health. Your children salute you, and Alus sends you many threats because you wrote often and saluted everyone, but you did not salute her only. Alus salutes you. Artemis writes to Serapion, also called Theodorus. If you are a soldier, you are crazy, but the commander quickly lessens craziness. You're writing to us with the intention of amazing us, saying that the commander does not want people who ruin horses. If you want to draw conclusions about the fornications of your daughters, do not question me, but the elders of the church. How the two of them left up by saying, we want me, and how Lucra was found beside her lovers. Lots of salacious gossip. So, we're getting a good sense of, again, just a few pieces of evidence, but they give us a good sense of who some of the women were, family members involved with day-to-day concerns and beyond. Now, one of the complicating issues is the question of marriage, because in Pulo's day, it's not a thing, because these non-professional soldiers could marry when they want, although obviously you would be away from your partners possibly for long periods of time. When we move into the imperial era, so from Pulo we move on to into Napoleon, beyond, from Augustus, the reign of Augustus on, marriage was outlawed, so far as we know, in the military, at least amongst the ordinary ranks, the lower ranking soldiers. Not true for officers, but yes for the rest. Now, earlier scholarship saw this as an absolute thing, so the law says this, the evidence we have about the law says this, so this is how it is. There's no partnerships, but a lot of the peripheral material, okay, so the people doing the laws are in the center of power, and a lot of the inscriptions from papyri come from the periphery. The two don't often match up, and the reality is often different from the legal position. So yes, we know that marriage went through a lot of changes over the course of the imperial era. So from Augustus Claudius, there was no marriage for sure. We know about this. We know there was a little more scope for marriage from Claudius onwards, but not really. We know that partnerships were taking place. Some of this with slaves. The soldiers owned slaves. One group of people I haven't talked about are the slaves that accompanied soldiers. This was a widespread thing. Some of these slaves, female slaves, might be, owned by a male soldier who might then free her and make her his wife. Reciprocal, perhaps not, but this was a thing that seems to have happened. Obviously, there was prostitution as well, I'll get to in a second, and assorted sexual partners, male and female ones. It's not all just female, there are male ones as well. But there also seem to have been there do seem to have been relationships with local women, despite some of the epigraphic evidence, so lots of stuff is going on. But it's not till the 4th century that we have explicit evidence that marriage is allowed. It used to be thought that with the reign of Caracalla or thereabouts, marriage laws, or certainly during the Severan dynasty, that marriage laws changed and soldiers could get married, but more recent evidence published by Werner Eck says that no, that's not true. It was later. So at some point in the 3rd century, in the middle of the 3rd century and the 3rd century crisis, things changed. So obviously, right, I have a lot of stuff in this slide. Okay, we're still rolling. All right, so no marriage. Okay. Now, marriage in the Roman world is different from marriage in our world. You don't have to have a formal ceremony. There's no registration. There is some legalities involved with terms of like wills and inheritance. I guess one of the issues, if you did have a marriage in a relationship of some sort, there was not much in the way of provision for family members. This sort of changed from time and place, but that was a thing. Women could be denied inheritance, and there are all sorts of interesting laws about that. And now as far as why they were banned in the first place, some say because marriage and with it was a luxury. Some say because this would keep soldiers focused on things. Some say this is a good way to keep the soldiers separate from civilian society. There's two worlds. They shouldn't be maybe intermingling. This is maybe part of it. And also, it's a status thing. So the officers could have weddings and marriages because, they're the ones with the money and the power. But, the reality on the ground was different. So if we were to try and make sense of this, as I say, it's complicated. I'm going to just tweak this in the video, not that you care. So it's possible that maybe about 20% of men married soldiers serving in the military, and it is not absolute, it's a guess based on surviving inscriptions and how long people would live and how long they would serve for, and what was possible based on what demographic evidence we have. Auxiliaries seem to have a slightly different situation. So, all these diplomas that we have, they point to all the marriages and so on. More open and more rights possible for children, etc. Although this changed after 140. But many of them weren't Roman citizens to begin with. So, So some other things to say about wives, marriages, and weddings. So no problem for Pulo, as I said. Polion, no marriage, and Aemilianus. It's all good, hence the two sons. And again, we have this letter of Aurelius Polion to his family, which I'm not going to read out, but you can see here. I've already discussed it. We get sisters and brothers and whatever. Okay, so where are they living? So some of the evidence of the shoes and the small finds, all that contributes to our broader understanding of the presence of women in the military. They were living in the forts, some of them in the Vici. You can see in this drawing here of Arbeia, South Shields, up in Newcastle Way. So in the barracks in part, based on some of the distribution of finds, shoes and jewelry found in the officers' headquarters, so living there, but some also in the surrounding community. Okay. Just one last point to wrap this up. So we've talked a bit about mothers and sisters, and I actually didn't mention daughters, but they're obviously part of it as well. Another possibility is those who work at prostitution and those who run shops and taverns and so on associated with military bases. So the most famous one is a certain Bellica, who ran a shop and a tavern in Vindonissa, that's in Switzerland. So we know a bit about her from some tablets found there. And she wasn't just someone who worked there, but she seems to have run and managed possibly this whole operation. Now, I don't remember the character's name. I don't remember the name of the show, but if you've seen I think it's called Frontier. It's set in the Canadian wilderness in the 1800s, and there's the character who runs a tavern up on Hudson's Bay, and I believe she might be a kind of a parallel to Bellica in some ways. Anyway, so that's another possibility. Bellica is just the named and famous one. There would have been many others like her, and it's possible many of the women who worked in these kind of facilities struck up longer-term relationships, not necessarily equal ones, but abuse and so on and whatever. But another means of broadening out the participants in, or the members of, Roman military communities. And I think that is it. Okay, so that's it. And I'll stop there, and hopefully that was vaguely insightful.